Welcome to News Game Plus. I'm Dermie, and I'm here with News Game Plus executive producer Jason O'Callaghan. And hey, your name, right? Well, News Game Plus is very, very popular right now.
Yeah, so popular in fact that E3 have decided that it's a very good name and we should use it for a Japanese-inspired web seminar of the same name.
Uh,
So E3 goes on the list of no more Christmas presents for you. And yeah, the thing is as well is like we managed to kind of scare off the IGN one. Like the show still exists, but they've just removed the name whatsoever. They still use NG Plus in their background branding and all that. They've obviously paid for the assets. They're not getting rid of the assets, but they won't call it that. So we have some things in the works to really make the guys from E3's life difficult.
we might have some fun. But
Yeah, I'm going to send them a cease and desist, of course, because that is how you do it. Not a cease and desist, but hey, I see what you're doing, and that's fine. But yeah, understand that we probably won't just sit there and take it. And yeah, I may not be able to necessarily sue you tomorrow, but yeah, it's
how long is the show been going? Just curious. The New Game Plus.
New Game Plus itself is 8 years, I want to say, 2012.
Yes, yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty much. It's a long time, and we've had the website. I think I made the
Look,
current website
Google
5 years.
is a new thing. Google's brand new. No one's heard of
Yeah,
it. It's a new initiative, and no one's heard of it, and no one could possibly have put that into any kind of search engine or any kind of similar device and found a name that was similar and maybe thought, well, these seem like the kind of guys who don't have much money, but they have a lot of time on their hands, and they technically have the copyright, so maybe we shouldn't do it. But hey, I don't know. I'm just me. I just have my opinions on things, and mine would be that that's not a good idea. But I'm just me, so whatever.
I think it's great that we're popular. I think it's flattery is whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Imitation is the finest form of flattery. Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
we get worked up too much. But mind you, have you been going also with the negotiation with Spotify for our $100 million podcast deal? Because
Mate,
we're on Spotify.
and we're the only people getting women that's not Stevie Nicks. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you get to go through a play
no,
history. It's
no,
Michael
are you
Bublé, New Game
dissing,
Plus
are you dissing
podcasts. Yeah.
Stevie Nicks?
Uh,
Hang on, that's my age range. That
that's
one.
old people music. Yeah, hate to break it to you.
I
Yeah.
won't hear bad things said about Stevie Nicks.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
yeah. So like in that demographic, it's Michael Bublé, New Game Plus podcasts, Fleetwood Mac. That's how it
and
goes. That's yeah.
and Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Well, because
I think
is
he's
it
got all the
Spotify?
money.
Is it Spotify he signed on with? Yeah, that was right. That was his. That's the joke. Okay,
Spotify, yeah,
the joke
yeah.
clicks. The joke clicks. Um,
Well, I was happy to talk about Stevie Nicks. Yeah, I'm going to
does
Google
that
him.
mean he can't put them on YouTube anymore or anything like that, or like how
And
does
it's
it work?
coming off YouTube. So
Wow.
he still owns the rights.
Yeah.
Spotify has exclusive deal to
Distribute.
yeah. All his clips and all his videos, or at least official ones that he does, are coming off YouTube in about a month. So they'll
Wow.
so it's a big one. It's after the PewDiePie exclusive deal. There's a bit of money being spent to get some big names, and mind you, they're big names that some people are going to get upset about, but they are
Yeah.
big names, whether people like it or not. And that's just how media works, as you know. So yeah, $100 million to be exclusive on Spotify, which will be interesting. So and obviously Spotify is welcome to talk to the News Game
Yeah.
Plus podcast at any moment. We will come to a deal. So I don't know what your price is, but I'm happy to accept less than 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
I'll be okay with that.
like I say to the E3 people, I love the name, I love the show, all that kind of stuff. I will also accept money to a certain degree, but it has to be the right number. So if you give me the right number, I'll go off and do other things, and you can have the name. But
Yeah,
if you don't, I don't know where else to be. You can't
we
sue
we,
me. I'm in
we
Australia. Like, don't be dumb.
we want a number written on a bit of paper that's not zero. The Monty
Yeah,
Burns style won't do.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
let's get on some gaming news. I was actually hoping to get you more worked up on that. I do have a bit of a challenge to get you fired up at the and see how long it takes to get you
We're off to a
swearing at
good
the start of
start.
every
Yeah, yeah, we're
podcast.
off to a good start.
And now let's do some gaming stuff because BlizzCon, no surprise at all. BlizzCon 2020 has been cancelled. Everything is cancelled and it's being replaced with an online event. Now that's pretty much par for the course these days. Is what's happening. But I'm actually wondering. Do you reckon? see now we talked about this copycat expo that's called the same name as us. I reckon expos, there were a lot of expos, a lot of cons leading up to coronavirus. I reckon we might see that there's hardly any regardless afterwards.
Yeah.
I think
It's
we go.
look. I think the landscape is going to change. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, stuff like PAX is going to be a big one. I don't know how PAX is going to play out now. Yeah. So I don't know. It will be interesting to see how they handle events in the new world. I think they'll still do it. I think it's just going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more work on flow because that's a lot of these events. The biggest problem is lines and stuff like that. And if you haven't got lines, then yeah, like yeah, so it'll be interesting. I worry that
Lines AFL player style.
yeah, look, yeah,
No
Fuddy
marketing people.
no Fuddy Branklin lines around here.
No,
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I mean, half the decisions they make, they have to be doing something. So, it wouldn't be surprising. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. It will be an interesting world we're about to inherit, but I don't know what the necessary issues are. So yeah.
No, I reckon we go. Probably look, PAX is a unique one, but I reckon there's the days of big conferences are over at least for a few years. I'll make that call. I'll do that. Somebody can hassle me.
Yeah.
So some of actually, I didn't say it's Sony, so people won't get offended. So I can say anything I want. I can be as outrageous as I want, but the moment I say Sony, anyway, let's move. Next story I've got is it's just a brief one. Somebody reckons they were data mining the Steam client, which I understand people would do. It's on PC and you can get at it and do that sort of stuff. And there's mentions of Steam cloud gaming, which according to Survivor is the second time this has happened. So
yeah.
Steam may be jumping in. That wouldn't die of shock. Everything's going that way, which will lead me to the next thing I say. But it's so Steam may be getting into that. I'm not a fan of cloud gaming. I don't think I think what they're calling cloud gaming is better done as client, what we would call, and we used to call at least in computer tech, client server gaming, and this is what Division 2 does. If you're playing Minecraft Realms, they do that. We're basically the big iron, the big server farms run the game, and you have a client running on your console. Now, I have a funny feeling that's what Microsoft is talking about for the most part.
Yeah.
With xCloud, but pure cloud gaming where you render it on a server and send it over the internet to somebody's house, I can't see that ever working on any scale. But that's just my.
Okay. It is one of those things where I could see how it is technically possible. If you think about it, you could cache up to a certain point, especially if it's a story-driven game, right? You could go, I'm going to cache up to a certain point, and then inside of that area, you can play in that. But then why don't you just download it? Like, at some point you got to go, well, I'm just going to download it. Because, like, why wouldn't I download it? I'm downloading it in small bits anyway. Like, why wouldn't I just, like, cut out the middleman?
I think there's this, when you start talking anything technology, there is a tendency of anybody with a technology in discussion to go all in, right? And it's one of the big issues, big problems I've always seen with the industry I'm part of is look, it doesn't have to be all cloud. It can be effectively cloud, but you need something. We used to call it client server. Computers started off client server. You had big servers, you had little dumb terminals, we used to call them, and they were basically just little text terminals, right? Yeah. And then computers went to everything was on the desktop, and now with cloud, it's going back to client server style model, where the browser's the client and it's on the server. And it's simple stuff. But gaming, like I said, like Division 2 is a good example. Division 2 is running stuff on their servers, but you have a client which is still pretty weighty. It's still quite sizable. That's actually managing how everything's done on your side, and it does like send stuff between it and the server to try and make sure it knows where everybody is at any time. So that I see how it's going to work. I think the idea of pure cloud gaming is fantasy. Which leads me into my next story, and this is just something that now, look, we keep reading this, and we did say in a podcast a while ago that Sony's back, and I'm a big Sony fan, as everybody knows. Sony, according to Sony, the PlayStation 5 SSD, the hard drive, is 100 times faster than the PS4 hard drive, and they're excited. And a lot of Sony fans are excited. 100 times faster than a hard drive. That's actually it's not a hard drive. It's basically a memory chip. But that's what modern hard drives are. 100 times faster does make me think either they're talking bullshit because it's a fair leap,
Oh.
or the
Oh.
PlayStation 4 hard drive was pretty damn slow.
Yeah,
That's the only
it is one of those things. Like, could you put an SSD into either of the next gens and increase them somehow, or no? Like,
This is the stupid thing. You can't tell me that Sony right now has a monopoly on that type of hard drive, right?
yeah,
Which means that type of hard drive will go into every PC, and Microsoft could drop them into a new release of the Xbox and go, "Hey, we're 100 times faster than the old Xbox One."
yeah,
It's now this is what. So it seems weird now. This is where I reckon what's happening, right? They have nothing else.
mm,
They when we talked about cloud gaming and client server effective cloud gaming. But there's talk about game streaming. Even Sony's talked about game streaming, but they're talking the local hard drive.
yeah,
It just makes me think they are talking so much about such a. I'm going to say it's trivial, and people are going to go, no, but Jared, it's important for whatever. They're talking about such a stupid, trivial part of the architecture of a new game console. They're talking so much about it. It makes me think they have nothing, and they know they got nothing. They
yeah,
they have. There's Microsoft's talking about a lot of the graphics processing they're doing and stuff like that, and Sony's talking about their hard drive.
yeah, yeah.
They've got nothing. In fact, they right now they might even just have empty boxes with nothing in them, and they got no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
It's just bizarre that the hard drive has been the talk. It doesn't make sense to me. And 100 times faster. I mean, I there is no way, I won't say I bet, but there is no way Sony is the only company in the world making hard drives that fast at a price that can go in a game console. Because I'd understand if you can make hard drives that were stupidly 100 times faster than anybody else, but they cost $5,000. Oh, I'd understand that. That's early adopter.
I'll say it goes to the old days of like big TVs and when it's like, oh, we had a 32 megabyte hard drive in my day that took up the same size as like a shipping container. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, okay, it makes sense. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but not something that's going in a game console at any price that consumers will pay. No, so look, not only do I smell a bit of bullshit here, but I actually think that this is desperation. They have nothing. They're talking about their hard drive in this day and age. If this was 10 years ago, I'd go, that's really exciting. But if you're talking now, the hard drive, I mean, come on, like it's only fetching stuff to put into RAM. I mean, how much RAM's this thing got? I mean, why is the hard drive matter so much? What do you got, like 64K of RAM? I mean, this is
yeah. So again, I think it's that usual Sony hand wave. You know what I mean? Like, they're just hand waving because they got
hand waving their dicks.
Damn, all right.
Sorry, I know. Sony fans are going to get excited. but no, if Microsoft was only talking about hard drive, I'd be going, holy crap.
Yeah. And like I say, I think this is that thing of like, I mean, I can definitely understand the old days and the old cell days. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine, but I think now
they were talking a processor. Sorry to interrupt. They were talking a processor then. When they talked the cell processor and the emotion engine, you can do here and all that. They were talking, and this is what Sony, Microsoft now is talking graphics processing, right? They were talking graphics processing back then. They were talking about leaps in the types of games and that. Right now, Sony is talking about loading things quickly.
Yeah.
So far backwards from, hey, this console will render Toy Story graphics in real time, or this new chip will be able to render people's hair and have it blow in. This is their claim, hair and have it blow in the wind like natural hair. Now we're now down to the hard drive is faster than the last one.
That's the point we're at now. Yeah.
That's where Sony is now. That is anyway. So the fact that they're even spruiking that up means they have nothing.
Yeah.
Might not even be designed. It's just they got nothing. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Look.
Comment below. I don't give a shit. Comment below. Anyway,
look, I'm with you. I think, it's funny because I had a look at that quote about Toy Story. I'm worried that the Toy Story one was I think it was a what's that guy? The one that does stuff. Bill Gates. I think that was actually one of his quotes. Funnily enough.
It was Bill Gates. Oh man. can Americans like calm down with as soon as they see
Yeah.
some rich person getting excited? Because people have forgotten who Bill Gates was. I mean, I don't care if he's doing vaccines now, good on him, that's great. But people have forgotten what him and his company were during the
Yeah.
late 80s and 90s. And suddenly, I mean, I saw an
People
article.
love to hand wave that. It's like, oof.
Now he's like, oh, I'm glad he's nice. Give me $60 billion and I'll do some nice things too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but he got that by basically destroying a lot of people's lives.
yeah,
And I'm not being over dramatic there, but he did. He destroyed a lot of companies, a lot of very promising technologies to stay on top through legal agreements. And it's the worst way I like to see anybody succeed because it's cheap. It's not honest. But yeah, I saw an article that an American friend was posting, and God, anyway, it basically tried to claim all the wonderful things about Windows 3 because it's the anniversary. And so suddenly we're seeing nice articles about Windows 3. God damn, I used to be a programmer back then.
Back in my, here we go, story time with Dermie.
And then I won't go into it. This guy's put it had true multitasking. I thought, I don't know what the hell true multitasking is in this guy's dictionary. But somebody that dabbled a bit in that and did a lot of Unix programming, I can tell you now, that was bullshit. Anyway, it's my rant. I've done a rant. It's a ranty podcast.
They're not usually like that.
No, I did. Anyway, cool. Well, I'll go on the next one. Okay, cool. Now Steam's getting in the movie business because soon Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, and Beyond Two Souls are all going to be.
I have seen that.
Steam.
Yeah.
Junior. So finally you can watch movies playing Steam. That's my joke. I'm going to move on. Let's see. The Metroid Prime trilogy is apparently rumored to be coming. Do you know anything about this? You have much better Nintendo context than I do. Is Nintendo Prime trilogy coming to the Switch in June? Because that's the rumor I'm reading at the moment.
Look, the rumor is that it's going to be June. The problem with Nintendo at the moment, there's no news on them. They haven't got a game. Like, none of their stuff is due out anytime soon, if that makes sense. Like, there's no... there's not even a hint of what's coming up now that Xenoblade Chronicles out. Like, 51 Clubhouse Games or Worldwide Games or whatever is their next title, I guess. And Xenoblade is, I think, Xenoblade's next week, and then it's Worldwide Games. And I don't know what they're up to, but like... They got Paper Mario, which they were obviously originally going to announce earlier. But yeah, I don't know. Everyone's just doing fake E3, so it's like whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, it just see what I thought when I saw that. I thought there's not a lot of hype for it. I mean, Metroid, to be fair to say, is a fan favorite, a Nintendo fan favorite, right? And I would have expected a really long, drawn out. Like with Animal Crossing, a very long, drawn out excitement fest, basically.
Yeah.
So for it to pop up, what is June? June's like soon. So it's like a couple of days. Probably if you listen to this, it's probably now. But so I was actually surprised that Metroid Prime Trilogy Switch would be like effectively sprung on the market. But it may be because I'm seeing a few reports that might be the case. And you've obviously heard the same thing.
Yes, so it's definitely not the first time I've heard that. And I think it makes sense, but like making sense doesn't mean anything nowadays. So like, yeah,
nothing's made sense since 2016.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all right, cool. Next one. Look, a bit controversial for a change. Now and this came from gamesindustry.biz, just to clarify this one before I say it. Last of Us 2. Now, as we know, Last of Us 2, Ellie's lesbian. I've got that right, haven't I? LGBT, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, look, and there's a lot of, and I know the developers are.
Ellie, as in Ellie from. I thought you said Alice, and I'm like, yes, but I don't see that's relevant. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry. Yeah.
No, sorry, Ellie.
Well,
I mean Ellie.
No, it's fine. The DLC for the first game establishes that, like that. Yeah, and yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so Druckmann, Druckmann's famous. He's gone, if you're a homophobe, don't buy my game. Now, the game's been actually, apparently, according to GamesIndustry.biz, has been banned in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, two countries as far as I know, at least Saudi Arabia, the gay has a death penalty. And I just thought it does. I mean, this antagonizing people here for publicity is cheap when there are other places in the world that are a hell of a lot more serious about this stuff than we are. Like, people here might tweet some nasty things. But yes, it got banned in 2 Middle Eastern countries. They didn't say why, but it'll be because of the LGBT content, and it just goes to show there's still a little bit of work to be done there. And I think a company like Sony and Naughty Dog could head on tackle that instead of antagonizing fans. That's a little bit of a soapbox.
Yeah.
Because,
Look, I
yeah,
mean, to me, this is one of those funny things. People hear me speak about the new one, and they're like, "Oh, but you fucking hate it." I'm like, "Don't hate it." Like, to me, the biggest problem is the potential that the game had from all the decisions that we've seen so far is just so narrow. So it's got like, I don't care what themes you cover, as long as you cover them well. Do you know what I mean? And this is always been the problem with this game is that from that first trailer, I was like. You're doubling down on the gore, guys, and it's not really what the other one was about. But
yeah,
okay,
I
like
didn't like
I'll
that.
trust you. And then it was like, oh, it's Ellie and Joel. I'm like, now I really don't care because their story was told. Like, you could have them as people who appear in it, or you pay for them for a certain point of time, or whatever the case may be. Like, I can understand that to an extent, but their story is told. Like, you don't need to rehash that ground. And the idea that, oh, now we're telling the story of Ellie, 10 years later, that is what bothers me about it. It's not the game itself. It's not even the Druckmann bullshit. I mean, we all know he's always been like this, right? If like always, that is one of the few times where I can separate the horse and the horse shit because I kind of don't care what he's like. It's just that a lot of they need to get him off Twitter. The biggest thing that they could do to help themselves right now is get him off Twitter.
You know what you do. If you want to make the world a better place, just shut Twitter down.
Yeah, look,
There's
yes,
there's
yep,
a lot there's a lot of dickheads on Twitter.
yeah.
Lots of different coloured ones.
Yeah,
There's some are
look,
orange. Just shut the whole thing down, and the world will be a better place. Man, Twitter exists though to feed journalists because journalists hang out on it. It's not really a tinfoil hat thing there. Twitter
yeah,
purely exists to feed journalists, and it just feeds that outrage and news cycle. And it's really. Do you remember Ghostbusters 2, the movie from years ago? Remember there was that river of evil slime under the city.
yeah.
There was that's Twitter. That's what it is. It's anyway. Yeah, I did also on a lighter note. I did enjoy. I think it was Luke sent me some memes of Last of Us 2 golfing simulator.
Yeah,
So,
you're gonna have to stop that because people might start to get upset that there might be spoilers in our podcast.
Last of Us 2 golfing simulator was pretty good. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
So, is that a spoiler? I don't think anyone knows that. Okay, sorry. Hashtag spoiler. I
That
don't
is
give a shit.
massive. Anyway, you should just put a beep over this whole fucking segment. You're gonna get us into trouble.
I've had a good crack at it so far.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Next go. Now, okay, who's Marvelous in Japan? Because I saw that this is a Bloomberg
Marvelous
article.
is a developer who I'm trying to think what they're probably best known for. I play a few of their games. I'm playing Rune Factory at the moment. They're a real
They did
niche dev, but they do. There's some big game that they have the exclusives
Harvest Moon.
for.
They did Harvest Moon on Nintendo
Yeah, the
DS,
new
I
one.
think.
So the L one's a Natsume. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, Tencent's been on a buying spree, so
Yeah.
Tencent now owns 20% of them, and Tencent is also opening a California studio and
Yeah.
is hiring at the moment devs to work in California on what they call blockbuster games. They already have a Kojima Productions founder, I can't remember his name, and the lead designer of Halo 4 on
Yeah.
board. Hopefully they're not making shit mobile games because China seems to really excel at shit mobile games because most
Yeah.
of their
Yeah.
mobile gamers, but yeah, they
See,
do.
Platinum also. I'm pretty sure Platinum had a buyout from these guys as well.
Yeah.
Like from Thing. But yeah, Fate. They do Fate series, so that's where they get all their money from. They
Okay.
also made like you say, that one you just mentioned, Harvest Moon,
Harvest
new
Moon, yeah.
ones. So Story of Seasons is the new ones.
Yep.
And then yeah, so they do Senran Kagura as well. And then they worked on like a few other games that people would know. God Eater 3 was probably their biggest one for recent times. They did, I think they published Skullgirls, I want to say, originally. And then yeah, so they've done a bunch of stuff. They work like they're a multimedia company, so they've worked on anime and stuff as well. And obviously a lot of their anime is in line with that. So it'll be interesting because like of all the places in the world that probably won't necessarily play nice with the Chinese, is probably the Japanese. I'm just going to put it out there as a thought.
Oh, yeah. No, they're bagging.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I wonder what that looks like. Going forward. But yeah. So apparently, So they're definitely buying up. Like you said, they're going on a buying spree. Yeah.
I think they,
So
I think they're going to own like 10 to 20% of the entire video game industry soon. That's not exaggerating. They are buying a lot of stakes in a lot of places. They got 5% in Ubisoft, 5% in Activision. That's pretty large.
yeah.
They got 100 in Epic, was it?
Yeah.
Or does that no, 40%?
Yeah. So
They've got a lot everywhere.
yeah,
So
it's 20. So it is 20% of Marvelous. The deal with Platinum, just to be clear, is
yeah,
apparently it's a partnership but not a stock ownership thing, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
it's a So they buy 20% of things. So Cameo specifically come out and said that our relationship with Tencent is we're going to help with funds. You just make a platinum IP game, and then it's like if you do make a good game, and then you want to make a mobile game for it. So this is where all the money is. Mobile games. That's where they'll focus it, and that's why Marvelous makes sense because they've got Fate Stellar, and Fate Stellar does such. I mean, it's huge business. So they'll put that into China, and then lo and behold, there's money. Because Marvelous has heaps of money at the moment. Like even before this, they had a lot of money. So for them, they're like, well, cool, we're doing this mobile game, which is driving all of the other stuff.
yeah.
So yeah, like the problem is always it's that undue influence. I guess you could argue Marvelous is kind of immune from it from thing, but that's again the stake is like we've said previously. The stake is so you want to buy into China. Well, we have a company that's already established in China and can navigate
Yeah.
all of those tricky things for you.
The government approval process.
Yeah,
Look, and to be clear, this is sort of the reason I bring up the Tencent stuff. I do keep an eye on this, and I did write that thing ages ago on the New Game Plus blog, which I'll still stand by. You're seeing basically China is such a large market, then everybody wants in and they do have their own way. They want everything to be done, and with the size of there's already 600 million Chinese gamers, or at least gamers in China. So you're going to see more and more in the video game industry things that are going to be China focused, whether we know it or not. It might be subtle, and I do believe a lot of the things, I repeat this regularly,
yeah,
a lot of the things people call SJW stuff is really to get past China's culture boards.
yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it's called. Now, that doesn't mean it's good or bad. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I think gamers have to be aware of it and stop throwing so much shit around because they're looking in the wrong place. But again,
Yeah,
soapbox.
yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure as well that I'm pretty sure it doesn't Discord have a
Discord has $150 million was put in from China, from Tencent. Exactly. Yep. And Twitter, I think, as well. So Twitter's taking a lot of Chinese and Saudi money. But yeah, look, and like I said, these aren't good or bad. This is the reality of a global marketplace, and money doesn't know any country loyalties, has no culture loyalties.
yeah.
It'll
Yeah,
go
and
where.
never forget that. Like that, I mean, that's always that thing where a lot of the patriots, quote unquote, will say that is like, you're surprised. You want you want cheap milk and you want cheap socks, but you don't want to pay for the socks. So someone's slave somewhere has to stitch it together. Like I mean, that's going full hippie, but like it's still. I don't think it's necessarily a non-relevant point. So yeah.
Well, it's similar to conversation we were having the other day. It's similar term I use is that the China may have killed all our manufacturing, but we handed them the murder weapon. So yeah, we quite happily went fine. It's kill it. I just want to buy shit cheap.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wasn't making a comment it was a good bet, but Tencent is on buying spree. They're going to own a lot, and they're going to start making blockbuster games seen out of California. And I think you're just going to see obvious and subtle changes in the game industry. You already are, but definitely, basically, it's going to be for those 600 million Chinese gamers. That's more than the rest of the world combined, I think, US and Japan, and especially Australia. So that's the way it is. That's the future. And it's, in a way, get used to it because nothing we do about it unless you're prepared to go out and buy 1,000 copies of your favorite game every time they come out, or even 1,000,000 copies is not gonna help at all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, cool. So let's see. Now, No Man's Sky is coming to Xbox Game Pass, which I'm excited about because I remember all the fuss about No Man's Sky, and you might be surprised what I think of it, to be honest. You're probably not expecting what I say, but no, it is, and I'm pretty keen to say because the reason being that Look, the developers, when they had the disaster of No Man's Sky, and I think they were sold out a bit by Sony on this one, they went back and they, from all reports, turned it into a pretty good game from what it was originally when it released, and it would have really benefited from being held off for another 6 months. They weren't complete arseholes to everybody like some other developers are. And so I give them big credit for actually going to the trouble of going back after they didn't have to and making the game they originally wanted to. So I'm pretty keen to actually give it a crack.
So you've never played it at all, so you didn't play it originally when it launched?
I haven't yet. I've been meaning to, but I try and play games, but there are points when I just don't get around to it. Like I've been meaning to play that game that I actually got Game Pass to play, that space game that was like Firefly, and I just haven't. I didn't get around to it.
Space game was like Firefly. What are you talking about?
Oh, Outer Worlds.
I mean, it's like Firefly-ish.
Oh, that's what someone told me. So I was keen after that, but I didn't get a chance.
Yeah, but, look, I take it back. It's it's got the quirky like lesbian / bisexual mechanic. It's okay. Fair enough. I get it. Yeah, it's Obsidian's. It's Obsidian's Firefly. That's fair. I'll wear that.
It's bisexual. Anyway, it's
but like she's got the quirky. Like, I don't know. Like, everyone loves Pavati. Everyone loves Pavati. And I get it. Like, she's cute and I get it all. The problem with the game is the game. Like, you could tell that halfway through Microsoft said, hey, we own you now. Get this game out and then you can have whatever you want for number 2. But just get it out there. Like, get it out there. Because it's not finished. Like, when I say it's not finished, it feels shallow. All these things. All the things that Fallout New Vegas had the opposite problem of, where they tried to go too complicated sometimes. Other Worlds has the opposite issue, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Like, I don't even think it made my top 5 list in the end. And beyond that initial expectation, it's still very good though. Play it, but look, if you play No Man's Sky, I'm pretty sure they do multiplayer now. I'm happy to play it like with you, and because I played 40 hours of it on the old systems, because I wanted to be fair. Like, it's like with Fable. I still clocked Fable. I just fucking hate Peter Molyneux. Like, I played it and I sat there and I'm like, you dog, it is nothing like what you said. Like, nowhere near what you said.
And that's what's
if it was here's a fun little adventurous romp, ha ha ha, have a bit of fun, great. But it's like it's like a seed. Right. Shut up. Just shut the fuck up and get out. Like, yeah.
I own every house in Fable because I didn't play it for like a month at one point. I came back and I basically accrued interest or something. Yeah. I had so much money. I own every house in the whole game virtually. Yeah. So, but you couldn't jump over Twig, and it just drove me nuts.
Yeah. So like I say, like I think 2 and 3, from the point of view of interesting things they're trying in RPGs, was better. Yeah, that people meme about the dog, but I got why the dog was a thing. Like, it's fine. But I think that was the problem, was it was trying to tell you a specific story, but then also make you. You can be the Dovahkiin if you want. Like, and I think a lot of games in that era struggled from. It wasn't necessarily that they were bad games. It was just that they were trying to do open world formats. They were trying to do these things that don't fit that style of game. GTA 4, if they'd have said it's GTA stories, Liberty City, and you played straight normal missions without the open world stuff, I would have been all on board for it, because it is super fun. But not super fun, but it's super. It does a great job of making Nico a character and making this world a character. Whereas 5 is great for that, but it's also great for just, fuck it, I'm going to go play golf, or fuck it, I'm just going to go do this dumb shit on a bike. Like, and 4 didn't have that, because 4 tried to play it a little bit too real. If you're going to do the real thing, that's fine, but you got to keep it. Like, again, everyone says they hate corridor shooters, but I think sometimes a lot of games suffer because they're not corridor shooters. And, your mileage may vary, but I don't think that is a particularly false statement. So,
no, I got no complaint with that. I think it is a tricky trade-off, and some don't do it well. But yeah, so look, I'm keen to back on No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky.
I think the lesson Sean Murray learned is just don't Molyneux yourself. Just don't Molyneux yourself. Just say, here's a great little space exploration game we hope you enjoy. You don't need to say more than that. That's all you need.
Yeah, look, I think it was a disaster all around at the start. But look, now, what the point I was going to go here is that look, the developers went back, and there's two space games I was really keen to play. Back about around when No Man's Sky came out.
The other one's Elite Dangerous. I can tell straight. Yeah, I knew straight. Sorry, I knew you were building with that.
and they have gone completely different trajectories, right?
Mm.
So No Man's Sky, and I look at, like I said, the programmers, the developers didn't have to go back and make it what it is now, but they did, right? So they could have just taken the money and gone, yeah, well, assholes, leave us alone, right? But they went back and did it, and they did it quietly. They didn't even announce it. They just came all of a sudden, said, here's an update. It's got all this cool stuff we actually wanted to do in it. Now, at the same time, Elite Dangerous, which I played about 700 hours of, the developers in that game have been basically they've taken the game and ruined it. So it's like, I'm looking for a new space game.
Okay, so it was funny because I was on the internet yesterday. So I ordered a Rail Driver controller, and I'll send you a link afterwards, and you can laugh at me. I ordered a Rail Driver controller, and I thought, oh, fuck, it'd be great to play Elite Dangerous on. It's got like the 6 levers, it's got like a bunch of specific static buttons you could set. Oh, fuck, it's built for it, right? Like stuff like that in Steel Battalion. I've always loved that kind of stuff. But like, I just remember in the back of my head saying, Dermie reckons that it used to be great and now it's shit ass. And I looked it up, and then a lot of people like, it used to be great and now it's a bit shit ass. So
Yeah.
I didn't buy it, and it was the whole pack was like $30, $35. And so I don't know if I'll go back and regret that, because I wonder if I would have still gotten the $35 worth. But yeah.
Look, what they did was they took a game that was almost a pure science game. Obviously, it's not, but it had an exact representation of our actual galaxy and stuff like that. All the stars were in the right place as far as they knew, and the ships had certain number of configurations. You had to work within the space available and have only certain things. So you had to, when you outfitted ships, you couldn't just do the normal RPG style where you just eventually get this beast of a ship that's got everything. You had to specialize. It had to be a mining ship, or it had to be a passenger ship, and so on. So and it really came down to how you played, like how good you were at it, especially in combat. And then what happened is suddenly, maybe about 2 years ago, they started going, well, you know what? Now we've got these ancient race of people who've left these artifacts around. And now instead of only being able to jump a maximum of tweaked engines of 30 light years, you might be able to jump 60 or 70. But you have to go and collect these artifacts. And this long dead race have left these things around that you can go and find. And it just became bullshit, science fiction bullshit. And it meant that anybody who went around and thought, well, I'm going to go follow this science fiction bullshit stuff, suddenly had massively overpowered, shield melting, corrosive acid weapon bullet thing that just wrecked everybody. And of course those assholes just went around and griefing, right? Because they could.
That's the style of that game. Yeah.
And it went from being a game that was very pure. It was very pure is the best word I could think of to describe it. To being one that the more the developers worked on it, the more they forgot why it was a good game, and they thought it had to be a computer game. And it's like people who didn't understand space games got involved. And the two games have been on. I've been watching them. They've been on opposite trajectories, because No Man's Sky has been getting better and better. Not a pure game, but I'm talking about the development, but getting better. Yeah. And Elite Dangerous is getting worse and worse, and it even got to the point where everybody wanted to introduce fleet carriers, and they introduced fleet carriers, which some people had billions of dollars in the bank in the game because they had nothing to do. So they said there's going to be fleet carriers that cost a couple of $1 billion. You can buy them. And then they announced that like the fleet carriers cost several $1 million a month upkeep. So if you don't play the game, this fleet carrier gets taken off you and trashed.
Yeah, right.
And it became, and so they basically make it a grind now. It already was a grind, but just decisions like that. So I've been watching those two games going in opposite trajectories, and I wanted to mention it. But I'm really keen to try No Man's Sky, and if I really do like it, I'll be plonking down for an actual version of it. I won't just be playing it on Game Pass, but I'm pretty keen to give another space game a bit of a crack, and No Man's Sky will be it. So was happy to see it's coming to Game Pass, because I can effectively use that as a demo.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, you should at least be able to, have like, I don't know, you'll have fun with it. It's just like I say, you're beyond the hype train. I mean, it was 2.5 years ago. You're beyond the hype train now. You should just be able to enjoy it for what it is. When it came out, I definitely get it. I definitely get how he Molyneuxed. Because it was literally just walk around, mine, build, and that was it. And I was like, oh, this is like shittier 3D Minecraft. Like,
yeah, I think he was an inexperienced media person. And now us developers do get overly excited, and if people ask us what our software is going to be like, we go, "No, it's going to be the best thing ever. Well, I can't wait to see it's going to have all this stuff." And then we sit down and write it, and we go, "Oh shit, I'm not going to get this done in time."
Yeah.
And they end up going back. That because I sympathise with, I can't remember the dude's name. I sympathise with him because I'm a
Sean
programmer.
Murray is the guy from
Sure,
Hello.
yeah, I sympathise. I saw what was, and I'm watching all this stuff replayed like on YouTube videos. I thought I can see what's happening here, and I don't think Sony helped at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and look, and that's why I've got absolute respect for him. Man, shoot me games like shit. I'm not playing that sort of shit, but I've got, from what I read, I've got absolute respect for him for then going back afterwards, and after all the crap he copped and all the disaster it was, going back then and basically making the game he wanted to make. And I thought, well, look, I'm really keen to try it out. So to me, if it turns out to be good, it's a real I don't know, it's not a success story, but hey, look, there's a lot of shit gets thrown around in video games these days and online, and these guys copped it and came back better, from what I can tell.
No, well, it helped that they were willing to eat shit. Like, they didn't double down. They didn't close their Twitters. Well, they did while they started getting abuse.
Well,
But
they probably
well, when they announced the update, they basically said, look, blah blah blah, wasn't necessarily what our vision was, and blah blah blah. And then they've just come back and said, but here's something to try and make up for it. You know what I mean? So you can at least respect that.
Yeah, no, I do, and they became pawns in a larger arguments, as everybody knows. But yeah, look, I think it was good. I'm keen to try it out. We're at the end of my news, so you got anything coming up with that, or Jack's doing the winter series already?
Yeah, so that should be starting up this week. I want to say this Monday coming.
Watch that.
Yeah.
Watch that. If you're listening, Jack. Like I keep saying, Jack's a star. Just watch everything. Watch everything Jack does. Everything Jack. How do you say? Is it cringy? Oh, let's just say, watch everything cringy does. It is. You will not be wasting your time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and so we just did a video for that. He came over the other day. Now that social distancing, like the rules are a little bit more relaxed. But honestly, I can't think of much else. The only thing I'd say is there's a lot of sales at the moment.
Yeah. Tell him.
Honestly, I can't think of anything else, matey. I think we're pretty good. There's a lot of good sales at the moment. Everyone's capitalizing on the fact that you're all at home, so do check out each of your providers. Like, I just bought a bunch of stuff on Steam and Xbox and Switch, and like, I didn't mean to spend $250 on games, but I might have spent $250 on games.
Oh, I've been flat out with work because my industry's been fortunate with this. I hate to say my customers haven't, but I've been flat with work. But I've been buying games and not playing. I bought NBA 20K. How do you
2K20?
I don't even. It was $4.50 on the Switch.
Yeah. It's I hope you enjoy your ads for third-party currency. Oh, like the currency, because that's what you're going to get from now on.
Oh, look, it was one of those cases. Sometimes I see $4.50. Look, I might play it in 6 months. Yeah,
well, like the last time I did that was Saints Row. I saw Saints Row again. Saints Row 2 on sale for like $4 or $5 on backwards compatible for Xbox, and I just bought that straight out. But like
the remaster of 3 is supposed to be all right.
3 was not my least favorite. Or maybe it was my least favorite, but yeah, it was just, I didn't enjoy it. Like, compared to 2, 2 was amazing. 2 was of its era, like at times good satire, at times fun gameplay. The absurdity ratcheted up without being like edgy boy silliness. I don't know. I love 2. 2 to me was, of that era, one of the best games of that era, of that 10-year block, I would say. Probably top 3.
Yeah, I never understood it because it sort of got marketed as a bit of as another Grand Theft Auto sort of thing.
The first one definitely was. I don't remember. The first one was, we haven't done another, like, that was GTA 4 era, I want to say. Now that was between the big gap between 3 and 4. Like, oh, sorry, not 3 or 4, but like San Andreas and 4, where they did like Vice City Stories and all that kind of stuff. So they're like, there's a market here. But I'm pretty sure it came out about the same time as 4, and then 2, Saints Row 2. Maybe it succeeded in spite of itself, but I think, despite the fact that you're controlling a giant, like a septic truck, and you splatter shit all over houses to lower property values. Insurance fraud is dumb. Hey, how good is Havoc physics? Like, all these silly throwbacks, all these silly things, it worked. And I mean, I could write you an essay on why it worked, but like, it just worked. And whereas 3 went the full bombast, went the full everything. And then it just petered out real quick. Whereas, whereas 4 came back, and you were like, basically you're in the Matrix. So like, you're Neo, you run around, you're basically a superhero. You know that, and so as a result, it's a different kind of game. Like, it was the good Crackdown 2. And so yeah, so I like again, I could wax lyrical on the Saints Row series and why people are missing out by not playing 2. I used to buy copies of 2 when it was at like Kmart and stuff, when Kmart had games because I'm old. And I would buy them. I'd buy like 10 of them for $7. I'd give them out to people because like I genuinely wanted them to play a good game. Because like yeah, I used to get discounted them, so you buy them for like $4 to $7, and I just give them to people. So play this game; it's great. Like just go play this. Spec Ops: The Line. I used to do the same with Spec Ops when it was cheap. And yeah, so there's plenty of great games out there that you can buy for cheap, and there's no better time for it. I hate to break it to anyone. So
I can just imagine, like, if you ever went to church and they passed a collection and played
yeah,
around for
just throwing a copy of Saints Row.
you dropped in a game. All right, cool. All right, oh, one last thing. Massive revolutionary Sega news coming in June 4. Now we both basically think that's to do with Microsoft, don't we?
That was the rumor from. I think it was the podcast I did with Galea, one of the 2 I did with him.
Yeah.
The first one was Konami, the second one was Sega. I mean, Yakuza randomly appears on Microsoft Xbox Series X is like a big deal in their video. Sonic at the Olympic Games doesn't have Mario in it anymore. Like they released a version without Mario. Maybe that was always a deal if it's outside of the Switch's thing, but the idea that they're even doing it outside of the Switch is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just cannot. I don't know who else would do it. I don't think Sony care. I don't think Nintendo. I don't know. As much as Nintendo have been good to them, like there's always been a lot of good crossovers, especially in the Wii and the Wii U era. I don't. I think it's in their interest to, if they're going to start pushing these newer games and potentially reach different audiences with the thing. I mean, Sony has shown that they don't necessarily want the Weeb games, the Atlas games, and all that thing has for them, and they've already been doing Steam releases, and they've already been doing, you know, I wouldn't die of shock if it was Atlas and Sega, their classics from the last 10 years, coming to Microsoft, and then from now on, every game they make will come to Xbox as well. It just makes sense to me. I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm happy to accept that it's a gut feeling to an extent, but
yeah, I think so.
Like,
yeah,
my gut feelings usually aren't bad. Like I can usually sniff out a rat pretty quickly. The biggest debate we had recently was about what the price of the new Series X will be at launch. I'm convinced it'll be sub 700. I reckon it'll be 650 maximum. I think that's the right price before someone just buys a gaming laptop. And everyone just disagrees with me. But I think Sony, if the PS5 launches, you're looking, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna do $1,000 again. They're gonna do $1,000 again.
800 plus.
Yeah,
easy.
they've just got so much form for it. I mean, PS3 was $1,000, like $1,099 with like Motor Storm and fucking Resistance. Like, shut
Yeah,
up. Like,
the PS3's big game was freaking Little Big Planet. That was big. That was loser crap. That was. I played it. It wasn't really a system selling game.
It's not really
anyway,
a game technically, but yeah, I know what you mean.
No, I played a lot of it. Look, it's yeah. So anyways, yeah. So we both basically Sega's jumping Microsoft like Microsoft was supposed to happen.
Oh
Back,
my God, don't do this now. You'll get us into trouble again.
You know what I mean? Oh, I haven't done that so far in the podcast. Look. Okay. Something happened back when Sega dropped out of hardware and Microsoft came along with the Xbox, and maybe this might make up for it.
Maybe, I guess.
You want me to say anything else?
I'll
leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
People can do their own research on your Peter Moore Must Die hate blog. So.
I'm not saying any names. I did talk to a person who said that particular person who I won't name was his hero, and I thought, well, geez, you're a freaking loser.
Look, I'm sitting right here. I don't know if he's my hero, but I never really did have an issue with him.
Anyone that's bad to Sonic is not my friend. It's like if somebody mistreats your dog. Anyway,
Sonic, the dog of video games, done.
So big news. June 4. According to Famitsu, it's a reliable source. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway,
again, rumors all depend on who says it, and if it's someone like Famitsu, it's pretty. They wouldn't run it if they wouldn't run it if there was.
Yeah, Famitsu's got a good rep. So anyway, all right. Well, newgameplus.tv for everything, including old podcasts, old videos, everything like that. Check out Jack's Winter Series on Monday nights at 10:30.
Yep, and we'll keep you updated on the C31 closure if it's going to happen. You never know. They're just going to run us to the wall again, or they just close us off. So if that's the case, we'll do some special content specifically for it. But yeah, so...
Yeah, well, enjoy that. The Liberal government aren't the biggest fans of what we do, but there you go. But anyway, so newgameplus.tv and yeah, check out Jack on the Winter Series. If that's it, we are done. We've been talking for probably too long. So nothing else to add, Jason?
No, that we're all good.
Done. Thanks. Bye. Talk to you next week.